Hesson cares more about roles than he cares about players, and that is why you hired in T20s today, especially T20s today. Tests and ODIs are still somewhat of a individuals game, cosplaying as a team game. T20 is a team game.
Welcome to Over and Out for DawnNews. I'm Sadir Raza here in the US. With me is Mustafa Siddiqui in Karachi. How are you?
I am good. Not
So,
many stunning
so
matches today, but it is what it is.
at, it is what it is, and at the end of the day, a very anticlimactic day because we went into this with a potential eliminator between Ireland and Zimbabwe, and of course that match got rained out, which meant the elimination of Australia from the group stages of a ICC event for the first time in a long time. Let's discuss this for Australia because this is not just a small team missing out on the Super Eights. And the way ICC events are structured, they're almost picked in a way so that the big teams make it to the Super Eight. That's the whole concept of the Super Eight. They want the big teams to basically do sort of a mini round robin against each other because
Hmm.
that's what all the viewers watch. Let me ask you this. So this Australian team is pretty much the same Australian team that Pakistan thrashed 3-0 not too long ago. But with the seeds of this disaster basically sown the moment Josh Hazelwood and Pat Cummins were a no-go. Um, because when you look at Australia, they had batting firepower, and for the most part, the batting firepower showed up, but it's the lack of bowling, their just inability to take wickets, which really hurt them. If you look at, and we talked about this yesterday, if you look at the Zimbabwe game, they only took 2 wickets. If you look at the Sri Lanka game, they only took two wickets. Your thoughts on where everything went wrong for Australia?
So first and foremost, I do agree with the bowling, but I also we do have to talk about. I think Australia has never taken T20 really seriously ever. Okay, and it's the only reason they won that T20 T20 2021 World Cup is because they had a fantastic opening partnership and they had fantastic bowling and they had Matthew Wade playing unbelievably at the end as well. And they also faced they faced the two teams they bully the most in ICC events in Pakistan and New Zealand in the knockout stages as well. So that is another big reason as well, psychologically. I think the main problem is that a lot of their we've had the discussion before. The batting talent hasn't is not there right now for them, or bowling talent wise. They're bereft of talent. Like all of these players, Josh Inglis, Renshaw, all of these guys. These guys have been there playing the big bash since they were in like their teens, in their early 20s. They're 30. They're just getting picked now because your big names of the David Warners, the Aaron Finches, this Steve Smith to a certain extent, even though he was added as a late addition to the squad, they're all gone, and so now you are left with this mediocrity that was never gotten to the team because of pure merit, but is only getting in there now because the actual star players have retired, and you're lacking that. Another thing is Australia, all the world events that Australia has won over the last decade or so. So your 2015 World Cup, your 2021 Champions, sorry, World T20, your
T20.
T20, your 2023 World Cup. They also won a World Chess Championship, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yep, in
Yeah,
2024, they beat
yeah,
India
yeah.
at
So
Lords.
there in that was because they kept their three fast bowling, their three world class. Quite frankly, Stark, Hazelwood, and Cummins is up there as one of the greatest pace trios over a long period of time that you could ever put against. They are up there with any of the West Indies fast bowlers, if you want to put them there. Any of our Pakistani fast bowling trios, if you want to put them there. They're that good, and you had kept them healthy. Now what happened is all three of them got injured. All of these new fast bowlers, they really haven't, been allowed to show up at the big event. They don't they don't have that typical Aussie, you know,
I also don't think they're talented enough
no,
that
they're not really talented. Like the only bowler that I would think is a bit talented is Ellis, and that's mostly just because of pace, right? Everyone else, like Bartlett's like nothing. Like he's just a very, you know, cutter 130,
yeah, and
135.
we talked about this in the preview. Their bowling attack that they took to the World Cup was a lot of dibbly dobblers, sort of, left hand this and that, but very average at best. They're just basically trying to manage. I do question one thing. The game against Sri Lanka was an eliminator game for them
Hmm.
because they'd already lost to Zimbabwe. And they made they made the conscious decision to leave out Matt Renshaw and Steve Smith
Yes.
at that game. I didn't understand that decision by the selectors.
I do not understand how Steve Smith didn't get into this team before this as well. Okay, like I don't know how he was not originally selected.
Especially on the backs of wonderful performance at the Big Bash.
Yeah, no, not even just this season. As like we've talked, as I've said before, for the last 3 years, the man has averaged 60 at a strike rate of 150 in the Big Bash League. Like I do not know, like what other merit do you need than that to qualify for the squad? So I think, and then you also take out Renshaw, who's actually the only other batsman aside from the openers that has actually done something. Like it was baffling to me.
Because that game they would have won because Head and Marsh had basically them at 108 overs.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you had a Steve Smith there, that 100 could have finished off at, 200, 210. At that point, that probably would have put the game away against Sri Lanka because
Yeah,
the sheer weight of runs needed becomes overwhelming at that point.
like
But of
people
course,
don't.
they
Yeah, sorry.
collapsed to 180 odd and all out.
Yeah, I don't think people understand the like that there is still a psychological pressure of 200 a 210 score. Yes, it's only 10, 15 runs more than like 185, 190, but like you get shook to a certain extent.
Of
Like
course, because you're required a boundary on every ball then. If you score a boundary and then a single on every ball, that's still nine and over.
yeah,
That's not enough. You have to go above that.
that
And if you don't get a boundary and over, you then have to overcome it in a subsequent over with multiple boundaries.
exactly.
That's a lot of scoreboard pressure every single over that builds up.
Yeah, and that's just like we kind of saw it like to a lesser extent against Pakistan, India, where like 15 runs mattered a lot because we felt the scoreboard pressure a lot because of how difficult the wicket was. Yes, that wicket was a bit more likely a 190 to 200 pitch, the Sri Lanka pitch, but if you have 100 for no loss, mind you, in 8 overs, you are expected to finish with at least 200, if not 220, 230.
Yeah, you had the platform set. Let's come to the other two games. New Zealand whipping Canada, topping the group, Rachin Ravindra and Glenn Phillips this time. Um, among the runs there, but they always do this. They sometimes peak too early. It'll be
Mm-hmm.
interesting to see how they do in the Super 8s. Have they peaked too early because they've been very good. And then of
Yeah.
course Nepal getting their win, beating Scotland, and I think they should be proud of how they did in this tournament because that England game, that was there. They only lost by 4 runs. That was a heroic effort. Um, your thoughts quickly on those two?
Yeah, like I feel like firstly and foremost we have to talk about Canada and Canada's opening batsman Yuvraj Samra, who is the first associate player to score 100 in a T20 World Cup against a full member nation. One, and two, he is the first player. He's the youngest player to score a 50 plus score in a T20 World Cup. So that is like that is something they still put on 170
Yep,
for
against
170
Nepal.
in chip puck, which has been
Yep,
about a
New Zealand.
170 to 180ish wicket. So they did get par. It's just that they didn't have the bowling. And then Glenn Phillips got on, and like they had like you couldn't really stop that. And I'm very happy that Nepal got a win because they have played. that after that England game, it would have felt wrong if they didn't get at least one win because they played so well in that game that like if and like England played so bad, like you like they did deserve at least 2 points. They didn't deserve to go home with a duck, like and just like how they were performing, how much their fans were there and supporting them, and how loud it was being. Uh
Oh, the atmosphere in the Nepal games were tremendous.
yeah, it was great, and
And they were, to be fair, when they came down to Dallas for the 2024 World Cup here in the US, they were pretty good as well.
yeah.
They travel well. They had their
Yeah,
supporters
didn't
come
they?
out.
Did they beat West Indies, all right? A couple of years.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No, they've done well, and the associate teams in general have done well this World Cup. It's as leagues
yeah,
basically flourish, and these associate members, their players get more and more opportunities. That gap is going to narrow and narrow. It'll be
yeah.
interesting to see what happens in the 2027 World Cup when again another year of basically more experience. You'll see more and more upsets.
Yeah, I mean, like also like a lot of the tournaments are playing in India, and apparently one of the leagues is moving to India in the Big Bash, which is apparently being reported that they're going to have some matches in India now from BBL
You wouldn't be
16.
surprised because a lot of leagues are doing that. In football, of course, La Liga
Yeah,
is trying to do that, get a match in the US in Miami.
the NFL,
Um,
of course, is also doing it in
of course,
Brazil, in
as
Europe, and
yeah,
all
the
over the
NFL
place.
has been doing games in Europe for a while now, and I think if you ask Roger Goodell, their goal basically eventually is to have a 17 game, eventually an 18 game slate that is outside of the US at some
and
point.
and also like as someone who has been like in England and like lived abroad, the game is getting more international
Yep,
because of these games.
correct.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely.
So, okay, but
Um, let's
back to cricket.
let's back to cricket. Let's wrap up on this.
Yeah.
Let's bring up a different topic.
Hmm,
And the topic is Mike Hesson.
hmm.
We've gone in on the players. We did that for 2 days. And to me, the Mike Hesson question or the Mike Hesson evaluation starts with a simple question. And the question is this: does Mike Hesson have carte blanche to make decisions independently that he thinks is the best for this team, short term and long term? If he does, then you know he all criticisms are valid. And if he doesn't, then that again speaks to a structural issue. Before we get into that, your thoughts on this initial premise.
The initial premise, it's Pakistan cricket. I'm sorry, they in terms of
So you're
if
saying he does not have carte blanche to do
nah,
whatever he
never.
wants.
No, it's a Pakistani cricket, and he's a foreign coach as well. The
Yeah,
only
that's
time,
my thought as well. So then this discussion has to be viewed through that prism. We
yeah.
cannot sort of isolate him as if he's making, all these decisions independently. So let's go through a few uh, decisions that he has made, he has been asked to make or acquiesced to. Um, Babur first, right? He's inherited him and chosen to keep him as a four. So Babur's historically has been an opener. The problem, of course, as an opener was his issue with strike rate. The problem at four is, of course, he has to play spin, which he's never been able to.
No,
I
he's
don't
been able to play spin. He's just not been able to, well, like he's not been able
to
to score
score
power fast. He's not been allowed to score fast. I would
fast,
say. Yeah,
correct. But at the position that he's in as a four, whereby sometimes you have to come in as into the power play because wickets are lost, as this Indian match showed, and or as an anchor, his skill set currently in 2026 doesn't match that. Number two, within the India match, there was a pre-planned. So the toss is the toss, but you have planning, and clearly it was planned by the leadership. Let's call it the leadership that the whenever Pakistan bowled, they would open the bowling with Agha. And you've talked about this, we've all talked about it. When Agha opens the bowling, it it opens a whole can of worms because then You don't need Fahim Ashraf,
You don't
who
need one of
in
the
this,
all-rounders.
and you don't need Shadab or Nawaz,
Mm.
one of the all-rounders, because that's pointless. And at this point, it's fair to ask, what is Fahim Ashraf even doing? He hasn't bowled at all in this World Cup entirely, unless you because he's not good enough as a batter
Mm.
to just be a batter, right?
Yeah.
And and these are some of the changes, some of the questions I'd ask Mike Hesson. Go ahead, you were going to say.
Yeah, so the only thing I think the reason why Fahim is in the team and why he's in the squad is that he is probably the best pace hitter we have at the death, I would say, right? And that is why you have put him at 8
Yeah,
because
so the
he's
old Asif Ali role that used to have
exactly,
sort of.
exactly. And instead and unlike Asif, who was just there as a batsman and a part-time fielder, uh uh he can actually bowl, but you haven't used him. And like
Haven't used him,
Fahim's,
and that's a good point. When you put him at 8, you really are putting him in a place where you don't want him to play more than an over and a half maximum. Just come
yeah,
in and just slog.
yeah, I know, but like at the same time, I have like I've also been of the this is I have at once said that maybe Fahim should open, because I feel like it would make sense for the team combination, but like you don't really need that because you have Saim, because you have Simon Aga in the 11 now, where you like have like 4 to 6 overs banked there, right? Especially if Aga is bowling, right? If Aga is bowling, you you already have two finger spinners there. Then you have Shadab, who's a wrist spinner. Then you have Abrar, who's another wrist spinner. Then you have Nawaz, who's another finger spinner. Like it makes no sense to
And of
have
course, it's
five.
Usman Tariq
Oh,
as well.
sorry, I totally forgot about Usman Tariq. So you have
There are a lot of
actually,
spin options.
yeah,
So to me, the team you should actually move forward with, if you're brave, the remainder of this tournament is fine. Saim Ayub and Samzada Farhan are your
mm,
openers, for better or for worse. They picked
yeah,
up. Agha 3, he's your captain.
yeah.
That's where it gets interesting. I think you go Nafi, Fakhar, um,
Usman.
Usman Khan, and then Nawaz, Abrar, Tariq, Mirza, and Naseem. That
So
instead of
no,
Shaheen.
yeah, yeah. So 1 second, you're going Usman, Shadab,
No,
Nawaz.
no, no, no
No,
Shadab. Fakhr and Nafi are coming in for Shadab
so
and Babar.
oh, so what we discussed yesterday as well. That's what I said.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm for that. It is
Because you have to choose one of either Shadab or Nawaz if Agha is going to bowl.
yeah.
Or you say he's not going to bowl. But I think he showed that he can
He's a
bowl,
very serviceable bowler. Like Aga's a very serviceable
and you
bowler.
probably trust him more than Shadab at this point,
You, Shadab's playing
right?
as a intent batsman, essentially in the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
you can put Fakhr as an intent
yeah. I know,
batsman.
I know. See, the thing is,
And
like,
he's a lefty too, which
yeah,
gives you
which you need,
additional options as well in the
like,
middle of that lineup.
like, come on, there's eventually you will probably, if you want to get to the final, you will probably have to face India at least once again.
Correct.
You will need some type of left-hander in that team.
Left-handed hitter. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and
People forget these things. They just, oh, he's a batter, but you actually have to look at the matchups and look at this lefty righty thing.
And it's like it's so annoying to me because we used to be ahead of the curve in this, like a decade and a half ago, right? Where we actually used to think about this, and we were actually like how we were talking
That's
about.
that's where Mike Hesson comes in. That's
That's
my
how
question.
if
If we see it,
if
and
Hessen was
we're
actually sorry, if Hessen was actually in charge, he would have made. I will tell you, Hassan Nawaz would still be in this team. Hassan Nawaz would still be in this team. He would still be playing because that type of batting talent and that type of spin hitting you do not get rid of if you are Mike Hesson, because I know Mike Hesson. I know he is much more about. Hessen cares more about roles than he cares about players, and that is why you hired him in T20s today, especially T20s today. Tests and ODIs are still somewhat of a individuals game, cosplaying as a team game. T20 is a team game. Like
Correct, especially when you only have 120 balls to
exactly.
face. You have to decide as a collective what is the best way to allocate those 120 balls when you bat and when you ball.
Hmm.
And that's where a savvy coach comes in. But of course, this is all a moot point if the very first premise that we asked, if he doesn't have carte blanche to do what he wants, then it's pointless. Then you may as well, you should go be coach of Pakistan and just be
I
the
mean,
and but it becomes that gets to the point of the inherent inadequacies of the structure around you. If a coach cannot be empowered to basically strategize 20 overs on each side of the ball, then what are you doing?
I mean, what we've done in Pakistani cricket since the 90s,
Yeah,
like
so a wing and a hope and a prayer, a lot of prayers. And Ramzan starts as
like
well soon.
like
So
like so in 20 the two ICC trophies you have won won after the 90s, right? The 2009 World Cup and the 2017 Champions Trophy. The 2017 Champions Trophy you lucked into because you had that India game first, so you were forced to make changes and you were forced to play actually your best talent in 11, right? In 2009 actually you actually had a good team and you had the best death bowler in the world.
yep,
You had the best like you had the best spin bowling all rounder in the world who came up clutch in the semi final and final, was the man in the match in those two. uh and that's the difference. We are not a well we have not been a well coached team in 30 years. We have the trophies we have won and a lot of the matches we have won is through individual talent.
yeah, it's in spite of
It's
the structural inadequacies
exact.
around you.
Even 2000 even the 2021 India game, right? You only won that game because of Shaheen's opening spell.
Right, he by removing KL Rahul and Rohit, he
Sharma.
kept Rohit Sharma, he kept the score to 152. They just couldn't, they could never accelerate beyond that.
Yeah.
Let's see what they come up with. I suspect they'll make just the two changes, which is Shaheen for Naseem and of course Babar for Nafi. I don't think they'll be bold enough to drop
I don't think
Shadab.
they're dropping Babar. I'm sad. I'm
So
sad.
you think they drop Shadab?
No. I don't think they drop Shadab. I think they're only dropping Shaheen. They're gonna play
Just the
like
one change. That would be interesting.
I know how this management thinks. They rather blame the bowler always than the batsman. So they will say, "Oh, the bowling was at fault because there were too many runs and we got under scoreboard pressure. Let's take out Shaheen for someone
That'll
else."
be
That,
interesting.
that
That'll be interesting because
if
I do think you need. I think you should have both Mirza and Naseem in there,
I do think so as well.
if only to give you options.
Yeah, and
You know,
not
you have
just that.
enough spin options.
Yeah, especially because like Naseem and Mirza are two frontline bowlers, like proper.
You can't just do 18 overs of spin, right?
No,
Or
it's
16 overs of spin.
not even
That's
six.
ridiculous.
No. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care how spin heavy the track is. You need to have at least uh 7 overs of pace,
Six. Yeah, six
six
overs
of pace
of
at least.
pace to at least vary it. And they clearly do not trust um
Shaheen,
what's his name? No,
Shadab,
uh no, your the
Fahim,
name's
Fahim,
escaping me now.
Fahim.
Fahim Ashraf. They clearly don't trust him to even provide one to two of those overs. Well, we'll
Yeah,
see tomorrow.
yeah.
Any
What are
last
the other?
thoughts?
I mean, every other game is
Every
basically
other game is a dead rubber. This
is a
is the only
dead.
game of any consequence.
Yeah, and like
And
I
you
feel
have to
like
win. You cannot get washed out, by the
oh
way.
no. No. We can get washed out. I think we
Oh no,
qualify.
you're right. You can get washed out. You
You
can
can
get
get
washed
washed
out,
out and
yes.
qualify. That's not a problem.
You're
Like
washed
the
out.
like we
Okay,
like this is
that's
a
right.
very much like we're leveled with the US. We just need either a washout or a win to win.
Yeah.
Like
Win and you're in.
yeah,
Yeah, you
if you
just need a point.
if
Point
you
to move on.
lose, you're done basically. Like it's very
You're
obvious.
done.
It
Correct.
is. I hope like listen. I hope we win, but I know Pakistan, so I'm not getting my hopes up too high.
Well, what I would say is join us tomorrow to find out. So
See if we're gonna be depressed the entire tournament or not.
There we go. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys tomorrow.